Choo Choo Charles. It's a unique gaming experience, a thriller slash horror experience, in my opinion, more of a thriller than a horror. Choo Choo Charles starts out with you, a museum curator and an avid monster hunter, going to this just basically abandoned island at this point, really, and trying to capture this entity known as Choo Choo Charles. Now, Choo Choo Charles is basically a spider train. There's not really a good way to put it beyond that. He's really just a spider train. And he's constantly aggroed to you, chasing you down. However, you get short intervals, like 5 minutes or so, depending on your location on the map, where he's not chasing you. The premise of the game is that you have to go and collect these 3 eggs from these 3 cultist locations in the mines, and you have to put them into a sort of temple slash altar thing where you extract the energy from them. Charles powers up on it, and then you defeat him and the eggs so that there potentially won't be another Charles. However, there's some complications along the way. There's also some side missions, like this crazy pickle lady who wants you to go find her pickles. Just some stuff like that. Mostly just for collecting guns and unlocking more scrap metals to upgrade your train. Speaking of upgrading your train, upgrades slash customization, there's not really much there for your train. Your poor little train does look super cool, I'll give them that much at the end. But you can't really customize it, you can't really change anything. You get this certain paints that you unlock throughout the game: black, blue, red, green, purple, gray, and a few other colors. However, again, there's not that much there. As you upgrade your train, the style of your train changes. So you go from a really basic looking train to a train covered in spikes and horns and stuff like that at the end of the game. Well, at the end of leveling up. As far as all that goes, your train, it really does look unique. It is fun to use. However, the texture pack, or whatever you want to call it, for the train and most of the buildings in the game is this like super cartoonish style. Like if you've ever seen Bendy be played, or if you've played Bendy yourself, it kind of has that kind of cartoonish slash drawn artwork to it, which is unique. It is unique to see. However, the world around the train and the buildings has this super realistic vibe to it, and the ultra realism mixed with the cartoon just it doesn't really make sense. The vibe doesn't fit well together. It's unique, it just doesn't fit well. So that is a bit of a throw off. It's nice to be like immersed because it's, you know, realistic, but then when you go inside a building or you jump on a train, you're just confused again because it's all cartoony. Now after a little while you do get used to it, but at first it is a bit of a throw off. Weapon wise, the weapons are really fun to use. There's a flamethrower, there's a Browning 30 cal or 50 cal, whatever. It's a machine gun on the back of your tank. That's what it is. And then there's, let's see, what else is there? There's an RPG and essentially 2 flat guns, which basically work like shotguns on your train. They don't really work like flat guns much. And all of that's fun to use. I think there's another one, but I can't remember it right now. I mostly used the RPG and the flamethrower because, you know, flamethrowers and RPGs are a lot of fun to use. The flat guns I did use quite a bit as well. They were a really unique way to play it, as well as they had better firepower. But yeah, the weapons were pretty basic. There wasn't much there. They're fun to use. It's a lot of fun to just run around in your train around the map, shooting your guns, trying to, you know, draw cultists in at you and then shoot them. But on that aspect, getting off of your train, when you have to go like collect the eggs and all that stuff, you don't have a weapon to fight. So you're kind of stuck drawing the cultists back to your train to fight them, or in trying to sneak and hide, but that doesn't work too well. It's not like you've got your sneak maxed out or anything like that. It's not very good on sneaking and hiding. So you basically always end up getting caught by the cultists, in which case you have to drop back to your train, you have to fight them, and to do that, you have to jump on your train, turn on your train, pull away a little bit, stop your train, get to the back of the train, start using the weapons. Now I have seen and experienced the fact that you can shoot your weapons through the front of your train, which is kind of weird and kind of seems broken. You'd think your train would take the damage instead. So that seems like kind of an off. But as far as the rest of like bugs and crashes and stuff go, I didn't have any bugs or crashes in the game. You don't really get much character arc. You don't really get much explaining other than that you're a monster hunter and all the monsters you harvest go back to your museum. So you're here fighting Charles to help these people out, but also to collect a new piece for your museum. Now you're told a lot about the town, a lot about the struggles they've been going through with Charles and the miner who took over. I can't remember his name right now, but he took over control of the whole island, and he's basically been trying to keep people from using these eggs to defeat Charles and basically just keep him alive. And at the end scene, he does come in and try and stop you, but you get the egg in anyways. Charles powers up and you're able to defeat him. Which at the end, you end up switching to a cutscene, and you end up seeing that there's literally like thousands and thousands, possibly, hundreds of thousands of eggs inside the mine still. And one of them starts to hatch. So you basically find out you really didn't do anything. However, while that does leave kind of a negative feeling, it also, leaves you with the sense of hope that there might be another game. If there's not, I would be extremely disappointed in this because it is unique. It is something that you don't really experience in anything else. So, I hope there is another game. As far as value for your money goes, you can complete the game in about 4 hours. 4 hours, 15 minutes or so. That's about where I was at, and it seems that even for full completion, like absolutely, completely full completion, all of the achievements, all of the paint, everything, I've seen that most people can get it done in less than 5 hours. Some people have gotten it done in like 3 hours, I think, stuff like that, but, I'm no speed runner, so I got it done in about 4 hours and 15 minutes. Overall, the game experience is great. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to ride around on your train. It's a lot of fun to explore the area. The open world feature kind of seems limited and almost useless just because you can't stay away from your train. Because like I said before, Charles does aggro to you. So you can be running around the map trying to, explore and have fun, try and find the other paints, all that kind of stuff. But then Charles will be drawn to you eventually at some point. And while it does add to the horror aspect of the game, because you personally don't have any weapons, you have to run back to your train every single time. So most of the time you just end up dying, and at that point you just pretty much end up quitting playing the open world aspect. So you really just end up completing the missions, the side quests, and then running back to your train every single time. And half the time you end up having to quit your side mission, run back to your train, and because of the way the map's set up, when you're running away from him, sometimes you can't reverse and get back onto the tracks you were on before to get back to where you were. So then you've got to travel all the way around the map. And some things like that. It's just really, really annoying and frustrating, kind of disappointing too. So it's kind of annoying because it wouldn't have been that hard to give you some stuff to use, such as like some shotguns or stuff that you could pick up from the cultists. There's also some times where you see stuff from the cultists being dropped, like their masks and their guns on the ground, and you're like, oh, here, let me pick that up, and you can't pick it up. So then you're like a little bit frustrated trying to pick up their stuff. So stuff like that is kind of annoying. But again, it's really not that big of a deal. The overall gameplay, it's really smooth, it's really nice. There's a little bit to it where you just end up being frustrated, like I said, like the open world aspect, some stuff like that. However, with all of that being said, for 20 bucks, it's really hit or miss. It's personal opinion on whether it's worth it or not. In my opinion, the $20 seems a bit much because when you're done playing it and you've had your experience, it's a good experience and you're left wanting more. You're wanting to play it again. But replayability, there's just nothing to the game. There is no replay. It's not like the world's randomly generated and you can just keep going back in and having a different experience. There's no multiplayer aspect, which I didn't really expect with it being an indie developer. But again, no multiplayer. There's no ability to go back in and get a different set of weapons than you had the first time, unless you just didn't collect them all. There's no options for new or random side quests. Even the paints stay in the same location. So as far as that goes, there's literally no replayability, aside from just enjoying the experience all over again, or speedrunning it, which is why you see so many videos out there now of people just speedrunning this game, because that's about all that's left for them to create content off of. And again, an indie developer shouldn't have to create a game for content creation. He was creating a game for fun, and that's what most content creators, not content creators, indie developers should do. They should be doing it because they want to, because it's fun, and they're trying to bring something unique. But as far as replayability goes, like I said, there's just nothing there. So for 20 bucks, it does seem like a bit of a short and underwhelming game. But in my opinion, Choo Choo Charles does live up to the hype. It is a unique thriller slash horror experience. It's not something you'll experience in basically any other game that's out right now. I'm sure some other people will try and copy this and make some stuff like it. There are a couple of games sort of like it, where you're on like a train, but you can, what's it called? Customize it, build it. It's like Raft, but on a train through like intergalactic space or something like that. I don't know the name of the game. I've just seen a little bit of it. But as far as a horror game goes, especially on the ground in a train being chased by a spider train, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. So yes, in my opinion, you should get Choo Choo Charles. It's worth playing, it's fun, it kind of lives up to the hype, it's not that expensive. If it was any more than $20, I probably wouldn't have even gotten it. But for 20 bucks, it's worth you going and trying to experience yourself.